A haunting black and white photograph, the only surviving record of a $100 million masterpiece stolen by the Nazis 80 years ago. Welcome back to Painted Veil. I'm Julian, and this is Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man, a Renaissance masterpiece and just one of the hundreds of thousands of works of art stolen by the Nazis. It was last seen in the dying days of World War II, and its fate remains unknown today. Was it lost in the chaos of war, destroyed in relentless bombing, or perhaps, like so many artworks looted by the Nazis, was it spirited away, sold on the black market, and is now hanging silently in a private collection or hidden deep inside a secure vault? In this episode, we follow the trail of Raphael's lost masterpiece, from its creation in Rome in the 16th century to its journey in the 1800s to take pride of place in one of Poland's most important art collections, from where it was stolen after the 1939 German invasion. We'll look at the trail after it was seized by the Nazis, along with works by Rembrandt and Leonardo da Vinci. Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man is an enduring mystery, and one that remains very much alive, with the search for it continuing today. In addition to their other crimes, the theft and forced acquisition of artworks by the Third Reich was carried out on an industrial scale. The Conference on Jewish Material Claims Against Germany estimates that more than 600,000 works were plundered by the Nazis across Europe. Most were stolen from Jews during the Holocaust, forced to surrender their collections and other property, or coerced into selling valuable works of art under duress. Others were seized from private collections and museums as Germany invaded countries such as France, Poland, and many others. In Poland alone, it is estimated that more than 500,000 art objects were looted, destroyed, or displaced by both German and Soviet occupying forces. And then there were the so-called degenerate works. Individuals, artists, museums, galleries, and other institutions forced to hand them over to the Third Reich. Today, as many as 300,000 artworks remain unaccounted for, and the figure is inevitably much higher. The fight for restitution continues, with families and institutions still pursuing the return of artworks stolen or forcibly acquired in the years leading up to and during the Second World War. One example is Two Riders on a Beach by Max Liebermann, seized by the Nazis and later acquired by Hitler's art dealer Hildebrand Gullert. Some 70 years later, it re-emerged when a secret cache of artworks stolen by the Nazis was recovered from the Munich apartment of a relative of Gullert in 2012. Raffaello Santi, known to us today simply as Raphael, was born in 1483 in Urbino, a cultural centre of the Italian Renaissance and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Raphael would live for just 37 years, but in that short life, he established himself as one of the great masters of the Renaissance, alongside Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. In one of his most celebrated works, The School of Athens at the Vatican in Rome, Raphael expressed his profound admiration for his fellow Renaissance stars by painting portraits of Leonardo da Vinci as well as Michelangelo in the picture. But it is his most famous painting which the world has now not seen for more than 80 years. Portrait of a Young Man, some believe it could be a self-portrait of Raphael, was painted between 1513 and 1514 in Rome. So how did this painting end up in Poland? It's suggested that the painting went into the possession of one of Raphael's students after his death, and in the 17th century, the famous Dutch master Van Dyck did a sketch of the work which is in the British Museum. In the first years of the 19th century, Prince Adam Jerzy Czartoryski acquired the painting during his travels in Italy, possibly in Venice, alongside Leonardo da Vinci's Lady with an Ermine and other important works and ancient antiquities, all destined for his mother's new museum in Poland. Later, the works would form the foundation of the Czartoryski Museum in Kraków. From 1801 to 1939, Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man would remain in the family's possession. In September 1939, the German war machine swept across the Polish border, the Luftwaffe bombing ahead of the advancing German armies. Blitzkrieg had dawned on Europe. As Nazi occupation began, the Czartoryski family made determined efforts to save what they could from their collection in Kraków. Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man, Leonardo da Vinci's Lady with an Ermine, and Rembrandt's Landscape with the Good Samaritan were among the works hurriedly removed from the city to southeastern Poland and hidden, at least for a time. But eventually the Gestapo found them. The artworks were seized and handed over to Hans Frank, Hitler's appointed Governor-General of occupied Poland. Frank was responsible for a catalogue of atrocities against the civilian population, including the persecution and murder of Poland and Europe's Jews. And while this brutality unfolded under his authority, the Raphael hung on the walls of his office in Kraków. Later, the works were sent to Germany, possibly destined for Hitler's planned museum in Linz, Austria. The vast complex was intended to display the most significant artworks looted from across Europe, including the Ghent altarpiece. The project became one of Hitler's personal obsessions, a monument to stolen culture. By January 1945, the tide of war had turned decisively against Germany as Allied and Soviet forces advanced from both directions. It was during this period that Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man was seen for the final time in Kraków, where it had been returned after initially being taken to Germany. As German forces were forced to evacuate the city under the advancing Red Army, Frank fled once again, taking the artworks back to Germany, this time to a chalet he owned in the Bavarian Alps. It was here that he was eventually arrested on the 4th of May 1945, and a number of important stolen works were recovered, including Da Vinci's Woman with an Ermine and Rembrandt's Landscape with the Good Samaritan. But Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man was nowhere to be found. Hans Frank was charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity. He was tried at Nuremberg, convicted, and executed by hanging at the age of 46. Today, the painting would be valued at over $100 million. And in the 80 years since it was last seen in Kraków, there have been rumours and speculation, including a claimed sighting of the work in a basement in 1971, and a bizarre hoax in which the painting was said to have been discovered in a bank vault in 2012, a claim quickly dismissed by the Polish government. Popular culture has offered one of the most widely known theories, that the painting was destroyed in the final days of the war. The 2014 film The Monuments Men even depicts a scene in which a copy of Portrait of a Young Man is burned by retreating Nazi forces. Many believe the real painting may have suffered this fate. It could also have been destroyed during the Allied and Soviet bombing raids on Germany as the war came to an end, lost quite literally in the fire of conflict. Another theory suggests that after returning to Germany in 1945, Hans Frank may have passed the painting to someone else in the chaos of the final weeks of the war. From there, it could have been sold on the black market, hidden in a private collection, or stored in a secure vault known only to its owner. This possibility remains one of the most compelling. The search for Raphael's missing masterpiece continues despite the passage of time. After purchasing the Czartoryski collection in 2016, the Polish government now owns the property rights and future restitution rights to Raphael's portrait of a young man. So why does this mystery still hold our attention today? There are several reasons. First, stolen artworks from the Second World War continue to resurface, more than 80 years after they were initially looted by the Nazis. In recent years, media reports revealed that a painting by Giuseppe Galandi, Portrait of a Lady, stolen by the Nazis, had been spotted on the wall of a home in Argentina in photographs used in a website listing to sell the property. Cases like this remind us that stolen artworks do reappear, and today international efforts continue to identify Nazi-looted art and return it to the families and institutions from whom it was taken. These programs make it very difficult for stolen works to be sold openly or legitimately on the art market. And while Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man will never appear at a public auction, there remains the small possibility that, if it did survive in a private collection or bank vault, it could one day be returned to its rightful home. The odds may be slim, but history has shown that stranger things have happened, and somewhere, someone might know something. And that concludes our look at Raphael's Portrait of a Young Man, a masterpiece lost to war, greed, and one of history's darkest chapters. If you have any information about its whereabouts, the Monument's Men and Women Foundation accepts public tips and offers rewards for verified leads. The link is in the description. If you enjoyed this journey through the Painted Veil, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. Your support helps us continue to uncover hidden stories of art history. Next time, another mystery, a painting stolen from an Italian church. Was it the Mafia? Until then, bye for now.